These long dog days of summer, I mean, we just made it through a heat wave. Mama was parched through this heat wave. I was hitting up Dunkin' every single day, and I will continue to probably for the rest of my days, but especially this summer. Dunkin' is helping everyone stay cool this summer with its lineup of refreshers. These drinks are packed with bold, fruity flavors and served ice cold. It's amazing. Dunkin' refreshers are the perfect afternoon pick-me-up. I like to start my morning with them personally, and then sometimes I go back for a second one because I'm just feeling crazy. They come in a variety of delicious flavors, including fan favorites mango pineapple and strawberry dragon fruit. And then for a limited time, there's black cherry and there's pink pineapple. I'm going to tell you something right now, and it's a bold claim, let me tell you, but I stand behind it. Pink pineapple will change your life. It is so good. It has me feeling like I'm sitting in a pool, resort side, just living, honey. It's so yummy. Try your favorite flavor with green tea, sparkling water, lemonade, or Dunkin's all-new limeade. I haven't tried the limeade yet, but I'm going to. Usually I get my drinks made with green tea and occasionally lemonade, but I do really like the green tea. Or if you don't want to build your own, try one of Dunkin's curated refreshers like the Cherry Lime Ricky or the Ultimate Pink Daydream. The Cherry Lime Ricky, scrumptious. I could drink like 3 of these a day. They're so freaking yummy. Head to Dunkin' today and find your favorite refresher. Dunkin' refreshers contain less than 1% fruit juice. Limited time offer. Chilling crime cases are mysterious, but finding coverage shouldn't be. With the State Farm Personal Price Plan, you have options and can personalize your plan to help create an affordable price so you can get back to cracking all of life's bigger cases. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can choose to bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Head to statefarm.com to get a quote. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Traditional home security only alerts you after a break-in, and that's too late. Simply Safe is changing that.
Stop. This is Simply Safe. Police are on the way.
We don't just alert, we stop crime before it starts. Simply Safe, plans starting around $1 a day. Save 50% on your new system with professional monitoring at simplysafe.com/SXM or with promo code SXM.
Outdoor deterrence requires a Simply Safe Active Guard outdoor protection plan starting at $49.99 a month. Visit simplysafe.com/licenses for alarm license information. Tennessee 2012.
Hey, weirdos, I'm Ash.
And I'm Alaina.
And this is Morbid. Minus the monster effect.
Yes. So we actually started and got very far into this episode. Sad face.
Sad face crying emoji.
Before we realized that we had some effect on our roadcaster there, which is what we used to record this. And it's an effect called Monster. I must have just like
this.
It sounded like a monster was telling you the story.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious.
It was good.
And in fact, you know what? What I should have done is put like I should have saved it and I should have put a little clip of it in here.
Know.
I almost feel like I should. I could probably.
Can you get it back?
Let me see. Okay, I was able to get it back. Are you guys ready to hear this?
I'm excited.
I'm only putting a little clip in, so don't worry, it'll stop, but you have to hear it.
Did anyone just hear my S whistle? Did you hear that? Is that what that was? It was a slight little S whistle. It was real slight. That was embarrassing. Don't be embarrassed. Okay. We all make sounds with our noises. Yeah, okay, I'm not embarrassed. Alright, I fixed that for you, so there you go. Thanks, brother. We all make sounds with our mouths. Yeah. That's just what we do. That was like with my teeth. I love that. You whistle. Yeah, look at that.
I am alive. Did anyone just hear?
Don't be embarrassed.
I love her.
I love her.
Everyone's like, yeah, we just heard it.
It's so good. But yeah, we're gonna
take it to a dark place.
We'll start this over again. But there's your little boop of levity.
Yay!
Before we whoosh, take it right back down.
Your eyebrows look really good right now, though, before we go all the way down.
Wow, thank you. I just filled them in.
We love to hear it.
Just for a second. because that's all I need in my life is just filled in eyebrows. And I feel like, woo,
I'm getting them for you from Sleely Taylor.
you're a very kind human for doing that for me. Because I usually just do it myself every morning and it's very annoying.
Not no mo.
Not anymore. I'm doing the damn thing. Some self-care.
Yeah.
Which I
Last night,
literally
John was
never
like,
do.
what is happening?
Yeah, John was like, what? And he was like,
goes,
I've been telling you to do like anything you want, like just to make yourself feel good.
Exactly. He was like, you're not doing anything like weird or like crazy,
like,
are
what's
you?
happening?
I was like, John, do you not like my eyebrows? Like, you think I would take her somewhere for weird, crazy eyebrows? And John said, I love her eyebrows.
I know, it was the sweetest thing. I was like, oh,
so pure. I was trying to throw hands with this man and he was like, I'm just in love. And I was like, I'm a cry.
And I was like, I'm not changing my eyebrows. I'm just making them filled in
Permanently.
Like, permanently. That's all.
Permanently for 3 months.
He was like,
only.
cool. That's permanently to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's the best when you wake up with your eyebrows on.
You know, speaking of eyebrows. Torsos as well are part of the human body. So there we are. We segued.
Transition.
We got there. So when we last talked to you in part 1 about the Butcher of Kingsbury Run, the torso murders, this rough case, we had Eliot Ness coming onto the case.
Eliot Ness, I said it last time. Something about your eyes tells me not to trust this man.
You know, he makes some mistakes.
Okay.
He makes some mistakes and we'll see it. He makes some big ones. He makes some
big mistakes.
Some medium-sized ones, some small ones.
Huge.
But yeah, I think he had every intention of really doing this, but he went at it completely wrong. Because Eliot Ness is now lead on the case. Like, he was working, like, you know, with the prohibition shit, with Al Capone. He was in Chicago. Now he's got moved to Cleveland. He's the safety director there. He's been watching this case unfold for like 2 years now. And he hasn't been working on it, but he's been seeing it happen. He knows what's going on. And now they've put him on lead because the mayor is like, well, he's a big crime fighter. He's famous. Let's throw him on it and see what happens.
Oy vey.
So he jumped in with 2 feet, but he did it in the worst way possible, in my opinion. He just came at it wrong. He just went full force. He was rounding people up in Kingsbury Run, just interrogating everybody. And this, to me, immediately makes these people not, and the whole community, just not trust you. Mm-hmm. You are threatening now. You look like the guy who's just coming in here, banging down doors, cracking skulls. Like,
that's not the way to do it.
Yeah. If you want this to work, you have to be deliberate. You have to meticulously talk to these people without being a threat to them.
Because this is a very close-knit community, it seems.
And they're already distrusting of investigators at this point because, you know, they're living on the fringes, basically. It's like, they're already not, like, ready for you guys just to come in here. So coming guns blazing is really not the way to do it.
No.
Now, one thing he did do right was he decided to try to understand who the butcher possibly was. So the team of investigators worked on a profile. They theorized that the butcher was definitely a man, and he was definitely strong enough to carry a dead body or 2 up and down a hill at the very least.
Yeah.
They also believed he had to have been very familiar with Kingsbury Run, possibly lived there now or lived there previously. They also, like Ash pointed out in part 1, believed he likely had to have somewhere safe and private and isolated where he was able to bring these people, these victims, and he was able to mutilate, torture, and murder and dismember them.
Because there was even one where he like froze somebody.
Exactly. And like you said, if he's freezing someone,
he's got a freezer.
He's got to have somewhere to freeze them. This can't be, because initially I was like, well, this could just be the woods. Like, you know, like, and maybe he did do a couple in the woods, but I started coming over to your way of thinking the more I read about this, being like, this has to be a building. Yeah. It has to be somewhere isolated.
Because even when you said the thing about the newspapers, like how one of the bodies was found with all the different dated newspapers, I just picture whoever this is just having stacks and stacks of papers in their
Exactly.
home.
And it's not like he's walking around with these, you know?
Right.
And that becomes one of his calling cards. That's when you know it's a butcher victim, when he has the papers, when he does the burlap sacks, the shirts, the wrapping kind of thing. They also theorized, which I don't know why they theorized this particular one, and I'd be interested to find out, but I couldn't find anything of why. They said that this man might befriend his victims for weeks or even months before using a large, heavy knife on them. I wonder if that's maybe because this community is so distrusting.
Okay.
of like outsiders here and, you know, interlopers that like they're not just going to trust somebody and walk off with them.
Right.
So there would have to be some kind of buildup of trust.
Makes sense. Yeah.
This isn't exactly like Whitechapel, like 1888, where, you know, it's a little easier to draw someone away because everyone now in this time in Cleveland, it's Depression era Cleveland, they are in a very desperate place. So there are people and there are communities that are going to be a little more desperate and a little more willing to walk away with the promise of possible money or work or food or something. But I think it's like a little less than it was in Whitechapel. So maybe that's what they were thinking. But again, I don't know if I fully agree with that one, because I really do think like this is a desperate place. These are vulnerable people.
Yeah.
I do think like with the right promises and the right kind of zhuzhing, they could get someone to walk away with them.
I agree.
But who knows why they said that. They also said that this person did show considerable knowledge of anatomy, but like the pathologist had said before, he doesn't believe this is a surgeon or at least a practicing surgeon at the time. He said he believed it was likely more like somebody like a hunter, possibly a butcher. Again, very Jack the Ripper vibes.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, having a guy who was used to working on things like the Al Capone case and prohibition shit was really not going to be the perfect fit here. He looked at this very logically, which I'm always in support of, you know this, but there's a really deep psychological component here that you just can't ignore.
Yeah.
It's not the same kind of crimes as like mafia stuff, you know?
It's like murder is not logical.
No, and especially like random serial killing.
Yeah.
When you got to take it out of this like organized crime world, because this is a very different beast here.
Like this man is wrapping people in newspapers, leaving them in baskets.
Yeah.
Like this is not logical at all.
Exactly. And like you said, no rational people would do this. No logical people would do this. There's an unhinged vibe to this whole thing. And you need to place a certain amount of logic onto the search situation, but you also just need to pull it back a bit and look at it from a place, like you said, that this man is ruthlessly butchering and torturing people at random.
Right.
And leaving them theatrically posed for everyone to find. There's no logic here.
It's weird.
There may be logic to like places where they are being left or things that are being left with them or on them, but the act itself, no logic can be placed there. So he started looking at it like it must be a product of, you know, the shadier parts of Kingsbury Run, the gambling, the sex work, the drugs found there, and the surrounding Roaring Third. And he said, you know what? We just need to crack down on the shady shit, and then we'll stop the murders.
First of all, I think he's a killjoy. And second of all, I feel like he went into this like with the A game being cleaning up the streets.
Yeah.
And the B game being find the murderer. Because I think his whole shtick is cleaning things up.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy who was enforcing prohibition.
Right.
So it's like he's got a certain set of rules and moral code going on here that might be a little different than what's going on.
Yeah, not a good time kind of guy.
Not a good time kind of guy. And he's going in here with tunnel vision.
Right. And that's never good.
Because this guy, this butcher, could be as sober as a judge and a father of 6.
Yeah, I mean, look at some of the people we've covered with whole ass families.
He could be anyone, or he could be someone in Kingsbury Run who is a gambler, who, you know, enjoys promiscuity and is dabbling in drugs. He could be any of these people.
He could be in the middle of that spectrum.
He could be anywhere around there. And to narrow the focus without any evidence to make you narrow the focus is pretty wild.
Totally.
This is a paid ad by BetterHelp. I happen to be somebody that struggles with people pleasing. So a lot of times I will build things up and up and up and up and up and then kind of get to the point where I'm like, I need to let this out to this person. Even in 2026, that stigma and just stigma in general can get in the way of a lot of things, like getting support for your mental health. Maybe you've encouraged friends to consider therapy while avoiding taking that first step yourself because you're busy. You're worried about what other people might think, or telling yourself that you should handle this all alone. But therapy with BetterHelp, the world's largest online therapy platform, can be a space to slow down and talk through what's been building before it feels unmanageable. Just take a short questionnaire to identify your needs and preferences, and BetterHelp will handle the initial therapist matching work for you. Their industry-leading match rate means BetterHelp typically gets it right the first time. Feel confident knowing BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully qualified. Don't let hesitation hold you back. Find support with BetterHelp. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/morbid. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/morbid. Chilling crime cases are mysterious, but finding coverage shouldn't be. With the State Farm Personal Price Plan, you have options and can personalize your plan to help create an affordable price so you can get back to cracking all of life's bigger cases. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can choose to bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Head to statefarm.com to get a quote. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
So the investigators who had already been working the case for 2 years were also not very impressed by his approach, because even though they weren't really killing the game here, they were aware that this is a unique situation that needed a little bit of out-of-the-box thinking applied to it.
Yeah.
You know, like you can't just look at this how it is.
No.
Because some men are bad men. Some people are bad people.
Of course.
They hurt people because it feels good to them, not because they're getting some kind of reward. They're just bad. And
Right.
It's like, that's not logical. That's not something you can wrap your brain around. That some people just like to hurt people just for the hell of it.
Hopefully you can't wrap your brain around that.
And like, I know Eliot Ness could not wrap, but like we do need an investigator that can wrap their brain around the fact that people are like that. At
he
least.
needs to be like teamed up with someone else.
Exactly. And you know what? People like Al Capone and the like do bad things always because they can profit from them.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how organized crime works. They're not just doing it to do it. They're doing it for power. They're doing it for money. They're doing it for something else that they are getting.
Right.
It's not just for the hell of it. And that is a very different beast.
Exactly.
So that's bad. Now, the papers were still being ruthless.
As they do.
About how ineffectual the police were in this case. And the people of Kingsbury Run were really not impressed. One, with how it had been handled before, but also they're not impressed with this new narrow-minded lead investigator and how he is openly clashing with the rest of the investigators. I'm sure it didn't inspire a lot of confidence that this is going to be fixed.
Yeah, it's just not really working for anyone involved.
It's not really great. So they had to pull something out of their ass to make waves here. And they were willing to go the distance, the police department. At this point, we've had issues with them not wanting to believe that this is a serial killer, not taking it to that place, which is really becoming a detriment to solving it.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, they are starting to understand that there are connections here. And we really do have officers and investigators working like 24/7 on this. But at this point, it's almost like too little too late.
Yeah, because it's been how long now? Like,
and it's like, yeah, like go for it now. Glad you're taking this very seriously, and like that some of you are really like, we'll see. Like Detective Peter Murillo, who we're going to talk about in a second in kind of a funny way, but he really does spend his entire life on this case,
and like he seems to want to get to the bottom of that and not everything else.
He makes some missteps along the way. But he genuinely, to me, at least from just reading about it, seems like he wanted to make differences in this case. But after they pulled that last body from the muddy pool in the middle of Kingsbury Run, the torso.
Not the creek.
It turned up nothing. No lead, no identification, nothing. So Detective Peter Murillo, who I just mentioned, decided it was time to go big or go home. He's like, I'm sick of this just like floating around. He was the longest running detective on the case. And his idea was, you know what, let's go undercover in Kingsbury Run, see if we can get any intel from basically the depths of the beast, so to speak. So what he did was he, quote unquote, grew out his beard and dressed in old clothing.
You showed me a picture of this guy. You guys have to pull out your Google machines at this moment.
It's outrageous. And he just strolled into Kingsbury Run. And he was hoping just to like mingle about with everybody. Nobody was going to notice.
And he was holding a stick with like some shit tied around the back of it.
Yeah, he's wearing a baggy suit. He's got a 5 o'clock shadow, not a beard.
Yeah, no.
A bowler hat and a stick with a handkerchief attached to the end.
Like, sir, you're being offensive.
It's like an old-timey Halloween costume.
Sir, you've pressed an incorrect
That
key.
is an incorrect key for sure. I was like, my goodness. It's just the fact that this is such... I mean, again, we're in the 30s.
Yeah.
So this is a very different time, very different stuff going on. But this is just so on the nose for like the stereotype that is for like, you know what I mean? Like the stick with the handkerchief, like you're going to stick out like a glowing beacon when you walk in there. Like nobody's going to be like, wow, yeah, you're one of us. Like they're going to be like, what is this guy?
They also all know each other. So you're just some random fucking dude.
You're an interloper. Basically,
like if you want to dress chill because like you don't want to walk in there like suit and tie, like
like a detective,
exactly.
Yeah, there's an easy way to achieve that.
Walk in plain clothes, brother.
Yeah, don't go in there like that. It didn't work, which I know is shocking that it didn't crack the case. Him doing that,
I didn't feel that coming.
But he did interview hundreds of people in Kingsbury Run.
All right,
he was able to mingle about with them a little bit,
doing the damn thing.
He was able to get some information about who these people are, what they do, how they know each other. Like there was some, I guess, good that came out of it. Just nothing that really helped this case. But I guess something good came out of it. Now, February 23rd, 1937, a man named Robert Smith was walking along the shore of Lake Erie near Beulah Park on his way to check on his sailboat. He had stored his sailboat there over the winter, and now it was time to see how she was doing after her winter hibernation. So like Frank and Joseph at the beginning of this tale, he spotted something floating just off the shore. Immediately, he thinks it's a big piece of driftwood, so he walks closer and closer to it. As he gets up to it, he saw that this was not driftwood. It was actually the headless upper torso of a woman.
Oh.
I can't imagine coming across these things.
No, I don't want to.
He called the police, and this torso, which was missing its head and arms, was brought to the coroner for examination. Right away, this site is further than normal for the dumping sites that have been going on here. It's about 10 miles away from the previous site. So this is at least something to consider here, that it's outside of the normal zone, which can be different. When the ME looked at the torso, he estimated this woman to be about 25 to 30 years old. The cuts to the extremities were made, in his opinion, by a very large, heavy knife, which matches up with the butcher.
It sure does.
But every single cut had hesitation marks associated with it.
Okay.
He has had before.
Yeah.
So there's that. This one just had more than usual, which is strange.
It's like he's like having a little breakdown.
Yeah. But this marked the first victim who was not killed by decapitation. She was decapitated, but her heart had stopped beating before her head was removed. Now, this is a different method, but it might not be. Maybe she had a heart attack before it happened. Like this could have been, I'm sure cardiac arrest in this situation is not completely off the table.
I would not say so.
That the decapitation wasn't the thing that killed her, and it was in fact her heart just completely stopping. Or something else. Maybe he did do something else and didn't realize he killed her. Maybe, this doesn't check it out as not the butcher because of this different method. But that, coupled with the location being further than normal and all the hesitation cutting, people were starting to question whether this was really the butcher. Either way, this is labeled victim number 7 of the butcher. I believe it is.
Yeah.
I don't think we really, it's further away. But
10 miles is not that far. And then also, he sees that like detectives are kind of coming into Kingsbury Run, presumably.
Exactly.
So he's probably just like, let me keep this a little bit out of here.
Yeah. And I think this may be just, let's make this zone bigger. Let's terrify more people. I mean, that's what these kind of monsters do. They want to spread terror.
Right.
So why not open up this zone into a bigger perimeter that we can start scaring some more people, And I think the hesitation cutting was looked at a lot back then, but if you look at it now and you look at a suspect, which I will talk about towards the end of this episode, I think it lines up with the suspect and it makes more sense that hesitation cutting was there, but it wasn't necessarily a confidence issue.
Okay.
As in like, I don't want to kill this person. What am I doing? Am I doing something wrong? I think it's more associated with a physical thing that was going on with this person.
Okay.
So,
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
I hate when I do that, when I forget the question.
That was the worst. I was like keeping
like,
it in there as you were explaining something. When he... No, fuck, I lost it again. Jesus.
Oh, no.
No, I got it. So when not this particular person, but in general, when there are hesitation marks, could that also just be the sign of somebody getting like tired because their body is exerting a lot of energy by doing
Absolutely. There's definitely a lot of reasons why there would be quote unquote hesitation marks. Like you just said, I'm disarticulating an entire body. I have not done that. Like ripped like limb from limb. That's got to be pretty tiring. Yeah. I know personally that a like clinical autopsy is fucking exhausting. You are pouring sweat at the end of that thing, like pouring.
Just from like an energy standpoint.
Oh yeah, I would soak through scrubs, like soak through them.
I remember that.
And it was like, and even using a bone saw is crazy exhausting.
Which obviously this person did not have and wasn't using.
And if they were using a bone saw or some kind of saw, that's tiring. And it's like, and if they're doing the entire thing themselves, of course they're going to get tired.
Yeah.
And they've just killed this person. So that's going and chopped their head off. So that's a lot.
Right.
And you're right. It could be just, I'm tired. Here's my first go at it and I didn't get all the way through. So I'm going to do another one.
Right.
Or it can be that there was some kind of physical thing where maybe they had, tremors, like physical tremors that they were dealing with, that they didn't get the cut where they wanted it to go. It could be that they were anatomically knowledgeable, but not a surgeon. And so they had to find the spot. So it wasn't a hesitation. It was, I'm trying to cut it at the joint where the joint is.
And I've hit the
wrong place. So I have to go over a little bit so that I can get that clean cut. To me, that seems more like it, that it was like he was trying to get those clean cuts. And so he fucked up sometimes, which is really fucked up, all of it. But the press went into overdrive and the pressure continued to mount on the police to catch this killer. There were several different wild theories, witness sightings that were pretty bogus. Because, this happens. They're going to get a flood of tips that really mean nothing. They even had federal postal authorities provide investigators with, quote, a list of Cleveland residents whom they suspected of unbalanced sexual tendencies.
What's that mean?
So things were getting invasive now.
I was like, what?
Crazy enough, that method did not provide them their guy. I don't know. Now, it wasn't until May 5th that victim 7's lower torso was discovered.
Oh, it was.
By a man testing a swan boat near East 30th on Lake Erie. He found it floating in the water, like most. And unfortunately, no leads came from this discovery, and they were still missing a ton of body parts from this particular woman. But then June 6th, 1937, 14-year-old Russell Lauer was on his way home from the movies. He was taking a quicker route home by cutting through Stone's Levee, which is an open field along the banks of the Cuyahoga River. And as he crossed the Lorraine Carnegie Bridge, he saw something shiny under it. And he was like, ooh, because,
treasure.
He's 14. That's treasure. So he decided to check it out. What if it's money? And when he got closer, he realized that the shiny thing was in fact valuable. It was a gold tooth, and it was still attached to a human skull.
Oh.
But he hadn't seen the human skull because I think the way the sun was hitting it, it was just gleaming on this gold tooth. So once again, cops are called. They dig this skull out of the soil, and they find that it is indeed detached from the rest of the body.
Oy.
More digging revealed the rest of the skeleton's remains in a, quote, dirty, greasy burlap bag, saturated with a grayish-white powder and held closed with a piece of rotted twine.
What is rotted about twine?
Just like nasty, probably just like fraying twine, just rotting twine. You know how rope can look rotted?
Yeah, now that you say it, actually,
like maybe
that
at like a marina or something. It's just like old rotted,
like moldy and shit.
Yeah, it just looks like it's nasty.
At first, I was like, how can twine even be rotted? And now I'm like, yeah.
No, it makes sense because it's like it's not a organic material.
Yeah,
so what the hell is it?
Weird, but no. Now that you say that, that does make sense.
Yeah. So it said the skeleton in the bag was actually a torso, and which, wow.
Wild.
And it was missing arms and legs, and there was, quote, a fairly large piece of blackish gray tissue-like material, and an undated advertisement and partial review of a show called the Niles T. Grantland and His Girls Review at the Palace Theater.
That.
Very specific. It had been cut from the Plains Dealer newspaper.
Okay.
So newspapers are very Butcher-like at this point.
Right.
He is leaving very specific newspapers, and he's cutting out things and putting them there. None of them are really making sense. They're not really pointing to anything, but it is a specific thing he's doing.
It's clearly intentional.
And there's a burlap bag here.
That's
We've
his
seen
shit.
burlap bags.
What do you think about the white powdery substance?
That I don't know. And they couldn't figure it out either. So I don't know what that was. And the burlap bag, too, it harkens back to Florence Palillo.
Mm-hmm.
They also found near the body a white wood cap or a white wool cap, excuse me.
I was like, a wood cap?
A wood cap, what? With a tassel, part of a dress, and a quote-unquote toupee of black hair.
Huh.
Now, these remains were taken to the coroner, who at this point is probably like, really? Like,
Can
the
you
coroner's
guys do
probably
something
like,
about this?
can I used to work on whole humans.
Yeah.
Like this, what is happening here?
Like, can we put a stop to this?
Yeah, this must be so hard. You're only getting body parts and you're being like, everybody's like, figure it out, dude. It's like, I don't even know how to identify this.
Especially way back then.
Yeah, they don't have the same stuff. It would be hard now, never mind then.
Mm-hmm.
But his examination showed that this was a black female between the ages of 30 to 40 years old. She was tiny, around 100 pounds, 5 feet tall.
Oh.
A further look showed that there was a lot of hacking and cutting marks to the vertebrae, which seemed to confirm the idea that this was indeed a butcher victim and she was decapitated, which likely caused her death. But they couldn't be sure. Horrifically, that toupee they found, that wasn't a toupee. That was the woman's scalp with her hair still attached to it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I did not even think of that possibility. Yep. Oh my God.
I was horrified reading that. The gray blackish matter found in the bag was indeed human tissue. And they believed she was killed a year earlier than she was found because the state of her body and also the significance of putting that review in there, which was from a year earlier.
What happens to, does your hair like disintegrate over time?
It will like slaw off, which I know is a gross word.
Because of the slippage
yeah,
of
like
the
there'll be
raw on your scalp?
slippage. It'll like kind of just slaw off. Because hair is found a lot way long after death. Like
it's
teeth,
protein,
hair, you know, those kind of things last way longer. So, yeah. So this was over a year and it was a full scalp of hair.
Right.
Now, still completely over their heads and lacking any leads, the police began really combing through now the missing persons reports in the area to see if anything would jump out at them. Detective Murillo, our undercover man, actually was the only one to come across a particular missing person who matched the latest victim. It was Rose Wallace, and she had gone missing in August of 1936, so the year before. The gold tooth was really a help here because they were able to look into Rose's dental records and see that she had some gold bridge work done. Then her son actually confirmed that the remains were indeed his mother's, although she was skeletal. So, tough.
Yeah.
This one has been debated.
Okay.
They've never been able to fully confirm this was her. A lot of it matches up. I think it might be her.
Yeah.
But they don't have a full confirmation on it.
We can't definitively say.
But this was huge.
Yeah.
Now that they finally got what they felt was an identified victim, they could look into her life and see if they could maybe make a connection to someone who possibly could have done this to her or the other people. So they started digging and asking around, and witnesses stated that Rose was last seen doing laundry the day she disappeared, and that she was still, she was told, like by someone, that an unidentified man wanted to meet with her at a bar on East 19th Street. Somebody had seen that happen.
That's weird.
Other witnesses they spoke to said they saw her that day with, quote, a dark-skinned white man named Bob. And she was on her way to a party on Cleveland's west side when they saw her.
Oh, great. A white man named Bob. How easy to identify.
Yeah, let's track that guy down.
Right.
So this was all interesting, but the most interesting part was yet to come because Murillo dug really deep.
I like this guy.
He's given it his best shot.
Yeah.
Like he really is. Like he seems like he's really in
trying.
He was really making, like, trying to form connections between Rose and Florence because they were in the same area.
Yeah.
He was like, what's going on here? So he found that Rose was also working as a sex worker at times, which Florence also was. And Rose was also seen at the bar where Florence worked as a barmaid and waitress.
Oh, interesting.
So it's likely they knew each other.
Yup.
It would be strange if they didn't.
At least in passing.
Exactly. Also, Rose was known to have hung around with a man known as One-Armed Willie.
Obsessed.
Yep. And he should be easy to find.
Yep.
And it was known that Florence also hung out with this guy.
Okay, so they
there's
knew
a
each
connection.
other probably.
Which makes me think that this is Rose. Like,
Yeah.
it makes me think there is some kind of connection here. Unfortunately, this all kind of sounds great
Fizzled out.
in pieces, but it adds up to nothing.
Mm.
Like, it really doesn't give them any physical evidence. It doesn't give them any real leads to track down. Like,
Right.
they couldn't find One-Armed Willie. Like, it's all kind of just, he's trying so hard.
Mm-hmm.
But other than establishing a connection between these two women, they honestly weren't even sure this was definitely Rose Wallace. So it didn't really pan out, unfortunately. But there was some, like, this optimism sprang up, and then it was just
Like
fizzled
gumption.
out.
Yeah.
July 6th, only 1 month later, Private John Smith was patrolling the shore of the Cuyahoga River. He was actually there with the National Guard, who had been called in to calm the chaos that had erupted when steelworkers went on strike.
Mm-hmm.
So his beat was along the shores of the river. And as he walked along, he saw something floating in the river after a tugboat went by. Like, it was in the wake of the tugboat. At the same time, Private Edgar Steinbrecher, who was patrolling the West 3rd Street Bridge, saw the same thing. He immediately thought it looked like a man's torso. Like, he was like, oof. No one called anyone yet.
Good.
They both spotted this and just, like, went on their way.
Knowing
Then-
full well that there is a torso murderer on the loose.
Not sure about that. But then hours later, Private Charles Demesne saw a burlap sack floating in the river. And after hearing the other sightings from someone else, because they must have talked to people, someone called to report all of this finally.
Good.
This was truly a chaotic scene. So they ended up pulling so many body parts from so many parts of the river that night, like wild. They pulled out the upper and lower halves of a man's torso. The upper half was in a burlap sack with a Purina chicken feed logo on it and wrapped in 3-week-old newspapers. Next to this torso in the bag was a woman's stocking, just one. Upon closer inspection of this stocking, they were able to pull one black and white dog's hair and several short blonde human hairs. Also, they pulled out of the river the left upper arm of a man, the right leg, the left lower leg, and the left thigh, all different parts. And they all had hack and cut marks like the butcher victims. They searched out a bit further and found a piece of lung.
Jesus.
But the search had to be suspended until the next day. When they commenced the following day, they found 2 hands and 2 forearms.
Oh my God.
4 days later, they found the upper right arm, and then 1 week later, they found the lower right leg.
Oh my God.
It was like this one thing was just like boom, 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 boom.
Right.
So the coroner...
In the U.S., there's a break-in every 26 seconds. But when intruders step near, Simply Safe Home Security steps up.
Stop. This is Simply Safe. Police are on the way.
Using AI alerts, U.S.-based live agents help deter break-ins. Simply Safe, no long-term contracts. Save 50% on your new system with professional monitoring at simplysafe.com/SXM or with promo code SXM.
Outdoor deterrence requires a Simply Safe Active Guard outdoor protection plan starting at $49.99 a month. Visit simplysafe.com/licenses for alarm license information. Tennessee 2012.
Had his work cut out for him because initially they brought in the upper and lower torso, the pieces of the left arm, the right leg, the left leg. Then as they found other pieces, they would just bring them in and add them to this, like, the most macabre puzzle known to mankind. Luckily unshaken, the coroner said, I got this. And he said that he believed this victim to be about 40 years old, was a man, had likely been killed about 48 hours prior.
Wow. That's
And-
not the last time. That's not the first time that's happened.
Yeah, there's been a couple of times where it was within 48
Yeah.
hours. Yeah. And he had and he had a pretty distinguishing scar on his thumb and his left leg.
Okay.
Again, he was sure this person knew anatomy very well, but was a very brutal killer. Actually, in this particular case, he felt like there was much more force and aggression in his cuts and dismemberments. He noted that the killer had, quote, had sliced open the lower half of the torso and wrenched everything from the abdominal cavity. He had similarly split the chest and removed the heart by a clean incision across the base of the aorta.
Damn.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Come on. Like, this is the Catherine Eddowes.
Yeah.
Of
where
this case,
like,
where he just goes for it.
Yeah.
He said there were lots of cuts and wounds on the hands and forearms, indicating a struggle, and some defense wounds.
I bet.
And that he had used, quote, considerably more hacking than had been seen in previous torso cases. There were more hesitation marks, quote unquote, at various places on the body, which makes me think, when I was like reading this in the moment while I was reading this, I was like, this feels like some kind of like tick for him and not a hesitation so much,
right.
which was what we were talking about. Chillingly, the ME noted that he also believed there was evidence that at one point during his torture and dismemberment of this particular victim, the knife had got dull.
Oh.
He had dulled the knife during this.
Because it
started off sharp,
so
ended dull.
Oh.
That is so intense. Like, that is, I can't even think of another word for it.
Do you think that he was like using the knife to also cut through bone?
I wonder.
Yeah.
He had to, there had to have been some of that.
Right.
And just like this fury here.
Yeah.
Like very intense anger and fury. Again, the police dove into the investigation headfirst, came up empty-handed. Now, they were willing to try anything at this point. They were really putting down a lot of effort, chasing any leads they could, but they were literally running into walls every time. It's like this guy was a ghost.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, is this a fucking phantom?
Is it just a phantom? Like, is this just a wraith out there killing people?
Because I'm also like, this is like a pretty small community. Like, can we station some officers outside and just see what the fuck is up, Kyle?
What is up, Kyle? Now, after the constant bodies turning up in pieces at every turn, seemingly every other month, every other week, suddenly a year went by with nothing. No heads, no torsos, nothing.
Weird.
There was a strange report from a tugboat captain in the Cuyahoga River at the end of March 1938. He reported that he had seen 2 burlap sacks floating in the river, and he had tried to get them, but he failed, and they floated into a place where he couldn't get to them. I'm unsure why, after he reported this, that the river wasn't searched, but it looks like everyone just ignored this guy. They would regret that. So, because at first, on April 8th, 1938, just as everyone was trying to return to their lives without the constant threat of stumbling upon one of these, like, gruesome tableaus, everything changed again. That morning, Steve Murawski was strolling along the shore of the Cuyahoga River to go visit his friend Joe. And this was very close to where the last victim had been discovered. And as he looked into the water, he noticed something in the water near a storm drain. He thought it was a large fish at first, but looking closer, he saw it was actually the bottom part of a human leg.
Oh.
The police are called again.
They're like, not over yet.
They're like, oh, good. And they searched, but found no other body parts in the river. So the bottom half of the leg was taken to the coroner, who at this point must have been like,
that's a leg.
Really?
Right.
I can tell you that's a human leg.
That's
like,
all I got.
But he did. I just hit my microphone. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm getting really into this. But he did say that he saw it and he said it was white and delicate and distinctly feminine.
Okay.
So he was able to tell you that.
He's like, that's what I've got for
That's
you
all
today.
I've got. Doing whatever he could to make this some kind of valuable piece of evidence. He did end up finding 6 long blonde hairs stuck to the leg. So this time, he said the knife marks did appear to be more crude and indicated that this was a rushed job to him. It was not clean, not as precise as the others. But he said without anything else, I can't really give you a lot of a whole picture here.
What do I have?
Because he's like, maybe he just was really quick on this one part.
Right.
Now, as this is happening, the police are still fighting within themselves because no one can put their ego away for the sake of one of the most gruesome serial killer cases ever.
Why is that always the case?
It always is. So Eliot Ness's assistant, Robert Chamberlain, because Eliot Ness is starting to do his own like private shit because he's like butting heads so much with the other investigators. So Robert Chamberlain came forward and he told the press that he was not convinced the leg was female. And he said that the last victim pulled from the lake was missing a leg, and he was a man. So he said he was basically saying the coroner is not doing a good job.
It's also like, dude, he's been able to identify how many bodies thus far, and also what knowledge do you have to say that about a leg?
But about a bottom half of a leg.
Like, sir, it's not even a whole ass
leg.
Like
knee down. Are you kidding me? this also is not going to make you any friends. You're already openly clashing with these, like, the investigators. Like, you're going after the ME. So things got made worse for Eliot Ness and his cronies there.
Good.
When May 2nd, more human remains were pulled from the West 3rd Street Bridge.
Not good.
A human thigh and a burlap sack with Wheel brand potatoes stamped on it were discovered. When the bag was opened, there were 2 halves of a torso. Here he is again, folks.
2 halves?
Oh, yeah, he cuts the torsos in half. He bisects.
Okay.
A left foot and a left thigh. The coroner determined these were also female remains, and the foot matched the bottom half of the leg that they were arguing over. Ha, says the coroner.
Seriously.
He was now able to get a bigger picture of this victim because he was like, this is awful, but now I have a better picture because I have more parts. He was able to see more about their death, and he estimated she was killed within the week before she was found in the water.
So he is ramping
He's
the
going
fuck
for
up.
it. Again, there were more of those hesitation marks on the various parts of the body. He reported they were, quote, more numerous and irregular than seen in the previous torso murder. So that's interesting. There was also a noted escalation in the brutality and viciousness of this one. He even stated that it looked like, quote, and this is wild, so get ready. He said it looked like, quote, the killer had snapped the back ribs with his bare hands.
What?
Yeah.
What? The force that it would take to do that.
The force and the anger.
Yeah.
Like just the rage.
How do you even do that?
Wild. He believed the likely cause of death was decapitation in this one, and when he examined the liver, he noticed that it had levels of morphine in it that would cause unconsciousness and maybe even kill someone. And remember, that tugboat captain reported seeing burlap bags and everyone ignored him.
Yeah.
He was telling the truth. These are the burlap bags he saw.
Yeah.
Of course, things went cold again with no leads, no identification or head found for this latest woman. August 16th, 1938, 4 months later, 3 men were searching the dump for scrap metal. One of the men saw what he thought was a coat in a gully, but when he jumped in, he was struck with a horrific odor. And he saw a cloud of flies, so he was like, what is going on there? It became clear that this was a pile of human remains. This was a dramatic scene. This was the theatrics that we were used to with the butcher. When Detective Murillo showed up, he found a torso wrapped in butcher paper, then a man's coat wrapped around that, and then a third layer, which was a homemade patchwork quilt. When they moved this package, underneath it was another package wrapped in a similar way and held together with rubber bands, which contained, and this package had thighs in it. A few feet away, they found another package wrapped the same way but this one had a human head in it. Further search of the scene revealed a homemade box that was made from 2 boxes put together. Inside of the box were the arms and lower legs. This scene was definitely the butcher.
Yeah.
They found burlap bags and a page specifically torn from March 5th, 1938 issue of Collier's magazine. So again, more of those like specific cutouts.
Yeah,
and
like calling cards.
Yeah. These remains were brought to the coroner, and he believed this was a female victim, 30 to 40 years old. She was in an advanced state of decomposition, which made this one very tough. He couldn't even find organs, and he reported that he, quote, could not be sure whether the internal organs had been removed or simply decomposed.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, there was no identifying marks for this victim either. But interesting about the boxes some of the remains were found in was that they found out that they were made from 2 bulk food boxes put together. And these particular boxes had only arrived in the area a couple of months before she was discovered here. So she was killed much longer than 2 months earlier. So that means she could have been killed and held somewhere else before being brought to the dump in those boxes. Where was she held?
In his house.
She obviously wasn't preserved. So it's like, was she in a freezer?
Well, he
where
froze
was
somebody
she?
Previously, so I wouldn't be shocked.
So this really ramped up the idea that like, he's got somewhere.
Yeah.
Where he kept her for a little while.
And I wonder, I mean, obviously he could have been prescribed morphine, but I'm like,
Well, that's the fact that he has morphine. You're like,
yeah.
I don't know about that.
And he's got access to a freezer.
Yeah. I immediately was like, he's a doctor.
Yeah.
Of some kind.
I kind of think
Yeah.
maybe.
So these scenes were now becoming kind of like a macabre tourist attraction. Everyone would gather and see what the Mad Butcher had done that day.
Yeah.
Newspapers continued their assault on the investigators, who were now years into this with not even a hint of a lead.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Years in. Nothing. You have nothing to give this community ease or comfort.
And at first, it was for lack of trying.
Of
and
course.
now it's not for lack of trying.
No.
It's just like... But the Orleans Chronicle wrote, quote, "The Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run, a surgically skilled maniac who apparently has no other motive except a fiendish desire to dissect human bodies." They were very salacious in their headlines. So at this scene at the dump, people would just drop in as they went by just to see what was going on. And one of these curious onlookers was Todd Bartholomew and his wife. They were looking in at what was happening, and they happened to be standing next to a drainage pipe. And he couldn't he couldn't help but notice a really bad smell coming from that pipe and not from the scene in front of him. And when he looked into it briefly, he noticed there were human bones in there.
Oof.
We have a second body at the same scene.
Oh.
Classic butcher. So when investigators gathered what they found, it was a pelvis, vertebrae, and ribs just out there. And then in a can next to it was a skull. So the coroner could get very little from this one. He said it was pretty skeletal. And he said it was a male, 30 to 40 years old, he believed, and probably dead at least 7 to 9 months. He did find that he had a broken nose, which was interesting. And they found pieces of newspaper with him. So although there was no real clues to come from that second victim's body, another interesting thing came from the first victim at the dump. After figuring out that those boxes told them she was held somewhere after being killed for a while, they were also able to determine some interesting things about the quilt that her torso was wrapped in. They put photos of it out to the public, which is smart. And a barber, Charles Damon, said it was his, but he said he had sold it to a junk man earlier in the summer. So already we're getting more of a timeline here.
Yup.
And they were able to track this junk man down. His name was Elmer Cummings. And he said he sold the quilt to the Scoville Rag and Paper Company, which was in the same neighborhood where Florence Polio was found.
Oh, it keeps going back to Florence.
Florence is a big part of this. Weirdly, now that the press was beginning to see some movement in at least some aspects of the case, they started reporting it a little less harshly. More optimism that the butcher was going to be found was coming through. This is when more people started coming forward and saying, "Oh yeah, I found something weird," or "I saw something weird." Like suddenly tips started flowing in, and it's like, why now? Why weren't you guys saying this before? But I don't know. Now, one man literally came forward and was like, "Oh yeah, I found hair in a fucking tin box in a field."
Sir, you're just coming.
Like, what?
Don't be tardy to the.
Yeah, to that party.
It's not a party.
Like, don't do that.
Jesus.
And another found a stained dress, a stained slip, and stockings that were stained, and only reported them after the latest bodies were found. It's like these could belong to a victim.
Guys, like, do you think that it was just a distrust in the police?
I think it could have absolutely been.
Yeah,
that.
I think it because they were being told by the media that the police simply just weren't investigating this. So they're like, why am I going to give them my information?
Yeah.
Still fucked.
And I think it's a lot of, like we saw in the Jack the Ripper case too, that people don't want to come forward because they don't want the police in their business. They don't want them looking into what they're doing. So they're like, forget it.
Until they have shady dealings.
But unfortunately, these things still didn't move the case in either way. The hopeful tone of the press and the renewed vigor of the community to bring forth tips and witness statements was quick, and it turned back the other way even quicker because nothing concrete came out of any of this.
Yeah.
So a story from the United Press actually ended up writing, "Detectives admitted that the search was wholly fruitless and that they were as far away from discovering the killer as at any time during the Torso series." So right away, the press is like, well, fuck them. They're still not going to get it done. Now, at the urging of Eliot Ness, this is where it gets very interesting. Robert Chamberlain, the guy who unsuccessfully questioned the coroner's ability to determine a female leg from a male's leg.
Yeah, you got to go, sir.
He was working behind the scenes on kind of a private investigation of his own into these murders. And in the summer of 1938, he made a shocking statement to the media.
And I'm sorry, this is the assistant?
Robert Chamberlain,
okay.
Yeah. He said, quote, "They had a suspect under surveillance whom they labeled Dr. X.
Yeah.
Huh?
See? Mm-hmm.
Who's Dr. X? Why don't we know who this guy is?
But doctor, that's the thing.
Ready to hear a primo suspect?
Uh-huh.
Who I think is the Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run?
Oh, shit. Because, and just before I forget it, obviously doctors have like autonomy. No, not autonomy. They do have anatomy knowledge, but like not the knowledge that a surgeon would have.
Exactly. It's like a different kind of knowledge.
Right. So it kind of makes sense.
It does.
Hit me.
So according to Eliot Ness and The Mad Butcher by Max Allen Collins and Brad Schwartz, I'm linking all these in the show notes, it was soon revealed that Dr. X was not a Marvel character, like you might be thinking, like I was thinking, but was actually Francis Edward Sweeney, who was a 44-year-old doctor.
Sweeney the Butcher.
So there you go.
Now?
Sweeney Todd. He had grown up near Kingsbury Run, and he had served as a medic in World War I. He ended up receiving a pretty gnarly head injury there and was involved in a gas attack, which saw him discharged with a lot of issues following. In fact, it was soon after coming home from Badal that he was suffering pretty severely with signs of psychosis.
Ooh.
I looked around and found a paper that stated, according to the World Health Organization's internationally peer-reviewed Chemical Safety Information Division, soldiers that were exposed to gas attacks during World War I could deal with a myriad of physical symptoms, but could also come back with apathy issues, mental disturbances, and anxiety attacks. It is well documented that there can be very severe and detrimental effects after this kind of experience. As a result of this, it was reported that Sweeney began drinking very heavily. So heavily.
I saw you Googling that a couple weeks ago.
You did.
It all comes full circle.
See? It's all coming back to you. So heavily, in fact, to the point where he had alcoholic neuropathy, where the nerve endings in the hands and feet get messed up and he was in constant burning pain. This made it difficult for him to perform his duties as a doctor to the best of his ability, and it frustrated him, and he took it out on his wife, but also others. He had begun, so he was using office space on Broadway Avenue, which was only about a mile from Kingsbury Run.
Office space with a freezer?
Oh, not even the best part. And it was right next to a funeral parlor. This parlor was catering to the people in the area who could not have proper burials or embalming.
Yep.
And the funeral director had given Sweeney permission to work on corpses, to practice his surgical skills, and also to, quote, indulge a frustrated desire to operate by practicing on unclaimed bodies.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm going to get into the bit by bit why this makes sense. Ness and Chamberlain.
Do you have to?
I know. Ness and Chamberlain were on Sweeney. So this is where they got it right.
Where did they lose him?
They interviewed him multiple times. And in some of those interviews, it is clear something sinister is boiling beneath his very carefully crafted exterior.
Oh my God, I am on the edge of my actual seat.
Right? In 1933, in early 1934, his wife had petitioned twice to have him committed by the court. And he was committed both times, but was released both times as well. But these times he was committed, he was at the Cleveland City Hospital. And guess who worked there as...
In the U.S., there's a break-in every 26 seconds. But when intruders step near, Simply Safe Home Security steps up.
Stop. This is Simply Safe. Police are on the way.
Using AI alerts, U.S.-based live agents help deter break-ins. Simply Safe, no long-term contracts. Save 50% on your new system with professional monitoring at simplysafe.com/SXM or with promo code SXM.
Outdoor deterrence requires a Simply Safe Active Guard outdoor protection plan starting at $49.99 a month. Visit simplysafe.com/licenses for alarm license information. Tennessee 2012.
an orderly.
Florence.
Edward Andrassy, one of our victims from the Jackass Hill.
Yes.
Yes, that's where they could have met.
Yup.
The year after these hospital stays, in the fall of 1934, his wife actually left him because he had been extremely abusive to her and horrific to her.
Aww.
And she wasn't willing to subject herself to that bullshit anymore.
No.
Interestingly, this was right at the time the original Lady of the Lake was discovered in fall of 1934.
Dude.
There are many reasons he fits the bill here, and I'm going to lay them out. One, he's a doctor and was a combat medic. He has seen some shit, and he has likely helped with amputations a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of limbs he has either amputated or at least assisted in it. He was a doctor, but not a surgeon. This is important. He wanted to be a surgeon and was frustrated that he wasn't. This explains how he knew anatomy, but was still kind of clunky with the amputation part. He had hesitation cuts because he wasn't experienced, not because he wasn't confident as a killer. 3, he would have had access to morphine and other chemicals like the ones found on some of the bodies. 4, those hesitation cuts were likely a mix of him not being a surgeon and also him dealing with neuropathy from alcoholism. He likely didn't have a steady hand. 5, he had an office. He had a home where his wife had left him. He had free run of a fucking funeral parlor with a freezer in it. He had places to do this. 6, he grew up near Kingsbury Run and he lived near there as an adult as well. 7, there were many instances where he was committed or people attempted to commit him because of psychosis signs and unpredictable mood swings and rage. He is the butcher of Kingsbury Run, in my opinion.
I'm just gonna have a little call you out moment.
Yeah.
So earlier we were talking about this and I was like, so do you think you know who did it? And you were like, yeah, I think I know who did it. I have a pretty good suspect, but I'm not totally completely sure. And then we sit down here today and you're like, I am completely fucking sure that it's this dude.
I couldn't let you guys know. I had to keep you on the edge of your seat.
Guys? I'm you guys?
You're you guys. You're part of the community.
Squirrely squirrel.
Yeah, I couldn't let it go. I had
She punked me.
And also I had to get a few more things that really solidified it for me, and now I feel
punked.
like Sweeney is the guy.
Ashton?
And is he here?
Hello?
Chamberlain was convinced, and so was Ness, that this guy is the guy.
Ash Kell as well.
That's why I said methods not great, made a lot of mistakes, and Ness is going to make another monumental mistake that's going to take him out of the running for me giving a shit about him with this. But this was the guy. But there were issues here.
What?
There was no physical evidence they could gather to tie him to this.
I mean, it's 1930s.
Which made it completely impossible to even form an investigation into this guy. Apparently, there was a report that they discovered in 1938, and this was found by Murillo. And it was originally documented in 1934, which was when the Lady of the Lake was found when this whole thing started. A man named Emil Froelich said he had been invited to a home near Kingsbury Run by a man who was a doctor. And he said he was poisoned there.
What?
He was able to escape. And when Ness's team caught up with him, he had moved out of the area. He caught up with him in 1938. They tried to get him to find the house, but he couldn't locate it. But he said he also knew of another man who had told him he almost got cut up in that home too.
What?
And he could never find the home.
You forget that home?
Yeah. It's like that's
trauma. That's a trauma response.
Yeah, I was going to say. There was also another issue getting Sweeney. His cousin was Martin Sweeney, who was a congressman and was a political nemesis / very large critic of Eliot Ness. So they were worried that if they went after Sweeney, Martin Sweeney would just accuse Ness of quote unquote political persecution, and that would go bad.
Dude, it's because your cousin's the murderer. No, he's just trying to get a murderer off the streets.
And also, it's I guess it does in tortured and dismembered murder victims.
They just don't matter.
They get the shit end of the stick because no one wants to forego their political career, right?
We don't want that when politics get involved in things like this.
And Eliot Ness didn't want to deal with the blowback because he wanted a career. So he didn't want to deal with Martin Sweeney trying to smear him in the press.
Fucking male egos. I'm sorry, but come on.
So things were really at a boiling point. So many victims now, and no evidence, even with a suspect that looks pretty damn great. They can't scrounge up any physical evidence to get a warrant. So Eliot Ness decided to go big, and he probably should have just gone home. 2 days after the latest 2 victims were discovered in the dump on August 18th, just after midnight, Ness and 25 officers arrived at the perimeter of Kingsbury Run. This is after midnight. This was a raid. They had fire trucks flick on floodlights around the edges of the settlement. They came with hammers, flashlights, and other crude weapons. And on the go-ahead, they invaded the run. For hours, they banged down doors, tore apart people's shacks, taking in anyone they thought could be the butcher or know who he was. He had a really wild thought process with this too.
What?
This is because you're like, why?
Right.
What is the thought process
like,
behind this?
You are pretty sure you know who this is, and you're just going to destroy people's homes for no fucking reason?
Because remember, this guy came from Prohibition, Al Capone, bada bing style justice. He raided and he went big because he was working with the mafia.
What are you even raiding for?
And like he was raiding with like Al Capone and stuff, because that's really your only choice in that arena is like you go big.
But then it seems like he's like going through raiding these people's homes.
That's what I mean.
Right.
But here, I always said before, there needed to be some kind of finesse and some patience here. Some real nose to the grindstone kind of investigatory work. And he just wasn't willing to do it. And it's a shame because he had a great logical mind. He had a suspect that if he just fucking dug harder and put away his own goddamn ego and own political shit, he probably could have got that guy behind bars.
Right.
I know he could have.
Why wouldn't you just stake him out for a little while instead of ravaging through these innocent people's homes?
He was thinking that this must have been someone who was only going after people in the run. That was his whole thought process. Okay. He is targeting people in the run. So now I'm taking away his supply. By detaining these people, all of these innocent people in the middle of the night, I'm taking away the supply.
No, you're just
so he's going to have to go somewhere else, and I'm going to be able to catch him.
What?
He then ordered, and this gets worse.
How?
He ordered the fire department to burn those people's shacks to the ground.
Oh my God.
So those people were now homeless. Literally burned about a third of the homes in Kingsbury Run.
Oh my God.
In the name of catching the Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run.
I just you're a logical man and that's what your fucking brain comes up with?
As soon as I read this, I was like, my guy, there's no coming back from this one.
I also
you could have had it.
I don't understand the thought process.
You could have had it.
Let's burn
you
what?
He zigged when he should have zagged so hard the other way.
Well, and you didn't get rid of you got rid of a place for him to hunt people, but you didn't. Now these people are all displaced and way easier to hunt.
Exactly. You've just made them even more vulnerable.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
You just burn down people's homes?
And this raid went on for days.
That's disgusting.
And nothing came from it.
Of course not.
Nothing.
What was going to come from it?
Not a shred of evidence came out of them ripping apart people's homes in the middle of the night and then burning a third of them to the ground. Nothing came from it.
That's just a whole ass other crime.
Yeah, truly. Eliot Ness looked like a stupid asshole in this instance.
I don't even, like words don't even describe what he looked like.
And honestly, the critique is warranted. This was the stupidest move for a very smart guy. And that's what's really frustrating in this is,
wow,
dude, you had him. Francis Sweeney is the guy.
Yeah.
He is the guy. And it's like, you had him. You just had to put some shit aside. You had to work a little harder. You had to, But as if the police were not already looking like incompetent rookies, this just sealed the deal for them. It really sealed Ness's reputation. It ruined any positive thing he had done before this. It was a major mistake. And what makes it worse is it seemed like he and Chamberlain were really on the right track with Sweeney. But again, they just let that political shit sit in the way. And instead, they just do this. They had so many contacts with Sweeney and were so close to nabbing him. They interviewed him a ton.
Right.
At one point, they were able to keep him in a hotel room for days.
And it's like, if you're getting closer and closer and closer, just keep fucking going.
And what's frustrating is Francis Sweeney was the type who liked that Eliot Ness was paying attention to him.
Right.
He was very much that kind of guy.
He would have fucked up at some point.
So he would have fucked up. You could have used that hubris and you would have been able to turn it against him.
But instead you just destroyed people's homes and displaced them.
You just went crush, smash. I'll just take away his supply. What?
What does that even mean?
These
this
are
isn't
people.
Cocaine. This is a home.
Exactly. These are people. They're not a supply. What the fuck?
Whose idea was it to bring this fucker in?
Oh, so December 1938, Detective Murillo got word that a Cleveland postal inspector had found a letter, and it was in the dead letter office that where they go when they can't go anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
That was addressed to Cleveland Police Chief George Madowitz. It was dated December 23rd, 1938, and this is what it said.
Dear boss.
This is a very weird letter. It says, Chief of Police Madowitz, you can rest easy now as I have come out to sunny California for the winter. I felt bad operating on those people, but science must advance. I shall astound the medical profession, a man with only a DC. What did their lives mean in comparison to hundreds of sick and disease-twisted bodies? Just laboratory guinea pigs found on any public street. No one missed them when I failed. My last case was successful. I now know the feeling of Thoreau and other pioneers. Right now, I have a volunteer who will absolutely prove my theory. They call me mad and a butcherer, but the truth will be out. I have failed, but once here, the body has not been found and never will be. But the head, minus the features, is buried on Century Boulevard between Western and Crenshaw. I feel it my duty to dispose of the bodies as I do. It is God's will not to let them suffer. X.
That sounds like Sweeney.
So he went straight to the press with this and was vocally convinced it was real. He even contacted authorities in Los Angeles, but there was no head where he said there was. There was no leads. Nothing came out of this. It was pretty widely determined to just be a hoax, a la Jack the Ripper. Unfortunately, after nothing came out of it, even Detective Murillo had to admit it was probably bullshit.
Probably a hoax.
For years, the officers that had been on the case since the beginning continued to work and try to catch the butcher, like day and night. And they literally never came close unless it was Sweeney. Sweeney, excuse me. That was the only time that they came close. But Detective Murillo never stopped trying. It actually began to really take a toll on him physically and emotionally. And in 1942, his family even said he was just not there. He was always thinking about the case, how to solve it. And that year, the department started taking him off the case bit by bit.
Just got dangerous.
Yeah, until he was taken off of it completely in October of that year.
That's sad.
So he actually turned in his last official report on the case in March 1943. But he said he would never give up his work on the Torso murders and said as long as the killer is alive and out there, he will be caught. In 1942, Eliot Ness resigned from his position in Cleveland.
Yeah, get fucked.
After a hit and run where no one was actually hurt, but he was inebriated and he tried to cover it up. So he had to resign.
Eliot was inebriated.
Yeah.
Pot, meat, kettle.
Exactly.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah.
I fucking hate this
He was
guy.
inebriated.
I fucking hate him.
And he got a job in Washington, D.C. after that. Shocking.
Hit someone with your car while inebriated and go on over to D.C.
Yeah. Even then, Sweeney continued to contact Eliot Ness, sending him weird and cryptic postcards.
Yeah, he was the fucking dude.
The department's last interview with Sweeney was in 1938. And interestingly, this was the last year they found victims associated with the butcher. Even more interesting was the fact that this was also the year that Sweeney checked himself into an institution in Dayton.
It was Sweeney, guys.
Where he ended up being diagnosed as a schizophrenic. He died in 1964 and was sending postcards to Eliot Ness until the very end.
Yeah, it was Sweeney.
The times like they add up perfectly.
The killing stopped when he checked himself into a plate. Like, come on.
Like, come on. They started when his wife left him.
And like one of the victims worked where he was. He had all it all just makes perfect sense.
It does. It all adds up.
All of the pieces of the puzzle are right there. Fuck Eliot Ness.
Yeah, he doesn't come out great here.
Fuck that guy.
He does not come out great here. Ooh. And he had there was a moment where you were like, oh, he's on it. And then it was like, whoosh, and I'm down.
Yeah, that shit arced.
Yeah, it arced a lot. But that is the story of the Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run.
How maddening, though.
Very mad.
He was never caught, technically.
I know. It's infuriating.
I truly think that it was Sweeney.
Oh, I believe it.
Everything
completely.
you said.
Yeah. This isn't like a Jack the Ripper thing where you're like, this sounds good.
It's pretty cut and dry.
No, I believe this is Francis Sweeney.
Wow. Also, that was a really poor choice of words. I'm sorry.
Well, you're like, wow. But yeah.
I'm just like pissed at fucking Ness there.
Not great.
Wow. I'm just like shook right now, but
truly,
we hope that you keep listening.
And we hope you
keep it. Oh, fuck. Sorry. I keep taking it. Weird. Shook.
Like I'm shook right now.
Goodbye.
Bye.
In the U.S., there's a break-in every 26 seconds. But when intruders step near, Simply Safe Home Security steps up.
Stop. This is Simply Safe. Police are on the way.
Using AI alerts, U.S.-based live agents help deter break-ins. Simply Safe, no long-term contracts. Save 50% on your new system with professional monitoring at simplysafe.com/SXM or with promo code SXM.
Outdoor deterrence requires a Simply Safe Active Guard outdoor protection plan starting at $49.99 a month. Visit simplysafe.com/licenses for alarm license information. Tennessee 2012.